Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those who are new here, my name is Diana. If you want to know how I got this summertime fine makeup look, keep watching. So I'm going to jump right in. I actually already filled in my brows. I used the brow pencil from Morphe in the color Chocolate Mousse, but I'm just going to make sure that everything is nice and blended before I start to sculpt out my brows. So now I'm going to take my MAC 212 brush and I'm going to be using Tarte Shape Tape and Tan Sand just to map out my brows. I like to do this because the brush and the product just helps me to sculpt it out. I did not do any of my brow grooming, and you won't really even tell with this technique. And the brush just helps me really get right up under my brows, so it actually helps me to sculpt out my brow even though my brows aren't groomed at the moment. Now I'm using another concealer from Tarte, and this is in the color Deep on the same MAC 212 brush just to make sure that the front is sculpted. I really don't like to use light concealer in the front of my brow, especially if I'm going to be contouring and all that good stuff. So I just make sure that I'm using a concealer that is close to my skin tone for this part. Now I'm going to take a brush and I'm just going to blend out the concealers under my brow. I'm going to first blend out the front, and then I'm going to blend out the tail, and then make sure that they're both blended in the center. I just like to do this because it just gives a gradient effect. I'm going to take a little bit of that deep concealer from Tarte, and I'm just going to make sure that the top of my brow is sculpted but not too much. And of course I'm going to use a concealer that's close to my skin tone because you don't want that halo brow. And of course, what you do on one side, you do on the other, just making sure that you're not going too close to the brow, but just close enough to make sure that everything is nice and sculpted. And I'm going to take that brush one more time, and I'm just going to blur that concealer on the top of the brow. You don't want it just sitting there, but we do need it to make sure everything is nice and precise. So just take your time because, like I said, you do not want to mess up your brow. So just be very careful. So now I'm going in with my eyeshadow base from P. Louise. You guys, if you watch any of my tutorials, you know I love my P. Louise. This is in 02, and I didn't want anything too bright since I'm not working with color. So of course we're going to do the same thing on the other side, just making sure that everything is nice and even. If you're using concealer, make sure that it's not a matte concealer because you don't want it to dry before you get to put your shadows on. That's why I love a good base, or you can use a creamy concealer as well. And I also brought the base up in my crease just to make sure everything was nice and blended. We're going to take my bronzer, which is in medium, from Juvia's Place, and I'm just going to start to create that crease, and I'm just going to make sure that everything is stamped out and blended. Once I have my crease, I'm going to take that bronzer in the front of my brow and just like blend it into my brow so that when I'm going to contour, we already have like our guidelines. I just love to do that. Now I'm going in with Juvia's Place contour palette in dark, and I'm taking the top color and I'm just going to pat it on until I feel like it looks the way I want it to look. I did want a soft, smoky, sultry summertime vibe, and this color definitely did the job. So I'm going to also blend that into my crease, and of course I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I just feel like when you're doing a contoured eyeshadow look, because literally that's what it is because we're using our bronzer, it just gives you that sultry vibe. So I feel like go at your own discretion and build it up as much as you want. I'm going to take this Inglot bronzer that's so chocolatey. Did you guys see that? So I'm just going to add this on the lid, not on the crease, because I wanted just some more smoke. Like I just wanted that smoky, sultry vibe, like I said, and I felt like this was the perfect color. Like look at the two eyes compared. You can see that one just has like that cool tone smoke on the lid, and like I said, I'm not going to take it into the crease. I'm going to keep this color on the lid, and I'm just going to keep packing it on. So that's literally what you're seeing. I just feel like when you pack on colors, it just takes on another like life form, dimension, vibe. I don't know how to explain it, but I just love to pack my colors. Now I'm going in with medium bronzer from Juvia's Place, and I'm going to set under my brows. Remember, we use concealer, so I want to make sure that everything is nice and blended and set, and I'm going to pull it down a little bit into the crease, but not too much. These are the products I use to do my skincare. I did my skincare off camera today, so I didn't want to let you guys know what I used. Now I'm taking my Sephora liner in black, of course, and I'm just going to create my wing. I feel like a wing just takes the look to another level. I do looks without liner, but it's very few. I just feel like it just accentuates my eyes. I just do have really almond shaped eyes, and I feel like when I do my liner, it just shows that off even more. And when I do like my liner in my waterline and smoke it out, it just looks so sexy. So yeah, I'm gonna continue to do it because it looks good. But I'm gonna just basically perfect my liner. You know how it is, your liner has to be crisp and clean. Well, mine at least, I am obsessed. So I'm gonna take some concealer. I believe this is the same Tarte Shape Tape in Tan Sand. And I'm always very careful with this step because you did all that work doing the wing and you don't want to mess it up. I only do this because I don't want my brushes or my beauty blender to interfere with my liner and stress me out. So now I'm going to take that brush and I'm just going to blend out the concealer, so when I'm doing my foundation, my contour and all that good stuff, I don't have to worry about it. Now I'm going to be mixing Tarte Shape Tape and Juvia's Place concealer. I'm not too sure what colors they were, but it's just two light colors that look similar. I love my Tarte Shape Tape under my eyes, but I'm very, very normal. I'm not oily, so using such a matte concealer really does dry out my under eye. And the Juvia's Place concealer is just super dewy, so they make a good combination. So of course I'm going to be mixing my foundation. So I did Morea in Syracuse and a tad bit of the LA Girl Pro, mixing medium in blue since I am neutral, but it's summertime and my skin tone gets a little reddy in the summertime, I guess because it's hot and I'm hot. So I'm not going to be mixing Morea and Syracuse for the summer. I probably won't even be using foundation. So of course I'm going to let the concealer sit while I blend out the foundation and make sure that everything is nice and smooth. I'm going to take this NYX concealer and I'm going to contour. I actually do have a lot of makeup that I don't use, so I'm going to utilize it. So NYX, here we come. So I'm just going to be taking this brush from Real Techniques and I'm just going to be blending out my contour. I kind of like this contour better than just the other way. It just, chisel out my face. My face is a little rounder at the moment. So yeah, anything to conceal that, we are here for it. And of course, I'm going to do my jawline and around my chin, around my concealer on my chin. So yeah, so just going to blend out and make sure everything looks good. You got to contour that face. I've been eating, it is what it is. I decided not to add any concealer under my contour just because I wanted the look to be very clean today. So now I'm going to be taking a liquid blush from Juvia's Place and it's in the color Marigold, and I'm just going to put it right on top or right above my contour, I should say, and blend it out. I've definitely learned my lesson. Blend out your cream and liquid blushes before you blend out your concealer to save you some time. So of course I'm going to go in with my puff and just make sure that everything is nice and blended. I do let my concealer sit quite a few minutes because you just want to make sure that it's nice and full coverage. So I'm just going to blend it out. I'm going to take a brush and I'm just going to add whatever concealer is left on the bridge of my nose, and I'm just going to put a little bit on my forehead and of course on the top of my lip. And I'm really loving this concealer combo and I'm obsessed with it. It's not too drying under the eyes, like I said, because the Juvia's Place concealer is way more dewier, and the Tarte Shape Tape, baby, she's bone dry. So I'm just going to continue to blend out my concealer and just make sure that everything looks good. And I just want to make sure that I don't have any mistakes because I'm about to set in a few minutes or a few seconds and I don't want any mistakes. So I'm going to make sure that I'm looking at the monitor, I'm looking all over and making sure everything is nice and blended. I kind of blend a lot, but you have to because like I said, I'm about to set in a second and I don't want any issues. I don't have any foundation on my forehead at the moment, but I am blending up that concealer just to, make sure everything looks good. So now I'm going to take two more concealers, one from Tarte Shape Tape and one from Juvia's Place, and just mix them. Anything that looks similar, I'm just going to be mixing them. I'm not even sure what the colors are. I know the Tarte Shape Tape is probably medium, but I don't know what the Juvia's Place is. Of course, I love my extra highlight. This is optional, you know, you don't have to do it. It just makes the face just snatched, and I'm obsessed with it. So I took a little bit of that concealer and I put it on my forehead, and I actually didn't like it. I did ending up wiping it off, but it is what it is. Makeup is okay. You know, it's don't be scared of it. If you don't like something, you can always wipe it off and start over. So yes, I did wipe it off my forehead, but I'm just making sure that everything is nice and blended. I'm going to be taking my RCMA setting powder. I actually really love this, on a damp beauty blender, and I'm going to be setting under my eyes. And I just want to make sure that, like I said, I'm going to blend till my heart's content. So now I'm going to be setting with the RCMA powder and just setting and locking it in. Since it's summertime, well, it wasn't too hot this day, but summertime and, you know, warm weather, you want to make sure that you're locking in all your liquids and all your creams, because they will move. So now I'm just going to be taking that powder and I'm going to be setting my forehead, and I'm going to be setting down the bridge of the nose, the top of the lip, and of course my chin, just to make sure that everything looks good and everything is locked in. So I decided to set my contour area as well with whatever was left on my puff. I like to do this because it just locks it in, and also when I'm contouring and bronzing, it does not allow that product to get muddy. So I'm setting it essentially, and then I'll bronze. I'm going to be taking this Juvia's Place blush palette duo situation, and I'm just going to be taking that orange and just adding a little bit of color to my face. In all honesty, I love their blushes because it's so pigmented, but once you blend everything in, it doesn't look as crazy. So I'm going to take some more of that RCMA powder and I'm going to bake. Usually I will switch my powders up, but RCMA is one of those powders that is just so buttery and finely milled and creamy. So I decided to bake with it. Hey. Now I'm going to be taking this bronzing palette, bronzing blush and highlighting palette from Morphe, and it's in the color 8R, and I'm just going to be chiseling out my face. We did set the contour with the RCMA powder, so it's not going to be muddy, which is great. So I'm just going to be adding a little bit more blush and just making sure that they are melted into each other. I'm going to take that same bronzing color and I'm just going to contour my nose and chisel it all out and make sure everything is good. I'm going to re-bake my nose just to make sure that I'm not losing any definition and making sure that everything looks good. I'm going to be taking this liner from, I believe it's NYX, and I'm just going to apply it to my waterline, and then I'm going to take a pencil brush and I'm going to smudge out the liner. The reason why I smudge out the liner is because, one, you don't want it to clump, you don't want it to spread, and you don't want it to go in your eye. So once I'm done spreading that out, I'm going to take the bronzing color, the darker one that I didn't use on my face. I'm going to use it under my eyes just to set the liner. And then the same brush that I used to blend out and chisel out my nose, I'm going to use it to blend out the liner and the bronzer I use under the eyes. Now I'm going in with my foundation brush and I'm going to push in that bake. This just ensures that my under eye doesn't look cakey, it doesn't look overly highlighted, it just melts everything in. It allows the powder to do what it's going to do. So now I'm going to take my Studio Fix powder that I love, as you can see, NC43 on this Real Techniques brush, and I'm just going to apply the face powder under the eyes, just making sure that everything is nice and blended. I just like to always make sure that my setting powder is blended away and my under eye is not just white and ashy looking. I didn't use any concealer under my contour, but I am going to put that powder there just to give it a little pop. Go on my forehead, the bridge of the nose, and I'm just going to make sure that I do have enough smoke. Now I'm taking NC45 all over the face, and I'm just going to put it wherever I feel like, which is usually all over the face, like I said, just because it makes sure that everything is nice and blended. Now I'm going to take my Milani Make It Last, and I'm going to drench my face, fan. Mind you, I have a fan, but I'm using my hands. I'm going to take whatever is left of that setting powder, and I'm just going to put it all over the face. This step really locks in the makeup, especially in this heat. And then I'm going to set one more time with my Milani Make It Last. And now I'm going to be taking these little gems. I just felt like adding a little sparkle to the look. So I'm going to take my eyelash glue and these little rhinestones and just pop it there. And it was so cute because when the light hits it, it just gives you a different pop. So I'm gonna go over my liner a little bit because we were baking, bronzing, blushing, you know, all that good stuff. So I just want to make sure that my liner is popping and it's not dull in any way. I'm gonna pop on my lashes because this look was very beautiful without lashes, but I'm just not a no lash girl. Like, I see people pulling off the look and I'm sure I can as well, but it's nothing like a wing and some lashes. So that's just my thing. So yeah, we're gonna pop on our lashes, and when you're putting on lashes, try to get it as close to the lash line as possible, because sometimes you think it's close and it's really not. So now I'm going to be taking this Bite Me lip liner from Morphe, and I'm just going to lightly line my lips. I really wanted the eyes to be the focus of this look, so I didn't want like anything to overpower it, so I chose this really soft chocolate, milk chocolate kind of vibe. So I'm gonna make sure that everything is just set. I don't know, every time I do my lips, I just have to like extra powder around my mouth and my face, just making sure that, you know, I didn't go too crazy with the liner. Now I'm gonna be taking Signs of Spring from MAC, which is discontinued, but it's just a soft, like, pale peachy vibe, and I definitely loved it because it was nice and soft and wasn't going to overpower the look like I said. But I hope you guys enjoyed my tutorial. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next makeup tutorial. Bye guys.
You should just know, babe. You should just know. I've been thinking about it, praying for the week and making it away.